And welcome to another episode of Experts Speak. I'm Michael DeLon, and today I am talking with Mark Keynes. Mark, thank you for being my guest on Expert Speak.
Oh, great to be here, Michael. Thanks for having me.
You are welcome. Mark is as he positions himself, he is the Chief Happiness Officer of his company, Blue Link, and they are they're an accounting and inventory software solution for business at different levels. And I want to dive into that because it's very interesting what you all do. But as we get into that discussion first, tell me how, Mark, did you get to doing what you do today?
In a very roundabout and convoluted manner, which I'll try and summarize, Michael. I started my career as an accountant. So I trained as an accountant and I worked in public accounting as a CPA. And this was in the days when all of our clients were small and medium-sized companies, owner-managed. We didn't deal with big public companies or large enterprises at the firm I was at. And they were all on manual bookkeeping records. Like this was in the early days of the personal computer.
Okay.
And most small companies were terrified of computers. Actually, most accountants were terrified of computers as well. And I hated accounting. I spent 10 years in the profession, but I really hated it. And I discovered the personal computer, and I discovered that A, I really enjoyed playing with these things. B, I had a natural knack at learning programming languages and designing systems. So after several years, I transitioned my skill set into computer consulting and started consulting with a lot of these small and medium-sized companies on how they could implement spreadsheets, accounting software, even word processing to try and automate a lot of their manual processes. And that got me into, let's say, the mid-1990s, where I was working with small and medium-sized, and even a couple of large healthcare companies and organizations on automating parts or departments. And I realized, well, why don't I rather focus on building a business that provides the type of companies that I'm most comfortable with, companies that are, again, owner managed, maybe anywhere between 5 and 150 employees, moving products, because that was really where my background is wholesalers, distributors. Back then, there were no e-commerce retailers. Of course, now they're very much part of the same kind of marketplace. And so started looking into what accounting, those days we called them accounting software. Now it's called ERP software, really.
Okay.
But it's kind of like just the natural evolution. So what software packages were out there that would do a good job for those customers? And there were a few, but none of them ticked all the boxes. This company had a particular competitive advantage, but there was no off-the-shelf package that would meet its requirements.
Mm-hmm.
Another company would have a different one. So it became increasingly difficult for me as a consultant to recommend solutions to companies where they'd have to change their business processes to fit the software when, and this wasn't always the case, but when in some cases, those business processes were their secret sauce. It was what made them successful. So now you're going to make that go away in order to conform with the strictures of a system. And we'll get into a little bit later, but one of the other solutions that companies were doing, were having something custom built for them from the ground up, which was great. It worked really well for them, except A, they were totally beholden to that one company for the rest of their career. And number two, once you have something custom built for you, back in those days particularly, you were stuck with that version of that software platform forever. And ultimately, it would become obsolete and no longer be able to be loaded on new servers and new computers.
Yeah.
So that's when I thought, there's got to be a better way of doing this. And in the mid-90s, I formulated an idea, started trying to build it, started trying to test it with a partner. And yeah, we gained some traction and we came up with what I believe was the first reasonably widely used, initially in Canada and then into the States, the first reasonably widely used small business accounting and ERP system that was customizable yet upgradable on an annual basis. And that was kind of the genesis of Blue Link.
Customizable and updatable. That's cool, because I remember being in a ministry, a pretty large ministry here in Little Rock, and they went through 2 or 3 donor development software systems, and they weren't very customizable, and updating them was a real hassle. So those 2 words are really, really important when you're thinking about software solutions, especially around accounting and everything, is that it's not just off the shelf plug and play, because you can customize it to your business. If I'm hearing you right, but even, dare I say, more importantly, it's upgradable, because I don't know if you know this, Mark, technology changes, right?
Just a bit, Michael, just a bit.
And business changes. So you've got to be able to flex and flow. So let's talk about this a little bit, customizable and updatable. What are some of the challenges that you see business owners in your target audience? I mean, who is a great target audience for you? Who's a great user for you? And what are the challenges they face before they start working with you and having this kind of a solution?
Well, it's a good question. The typical BlueLink customer, the one that really fits into our sweet spot, is going to be, again, probably a privately owned company that buys and sells products. So they could be a wholesaler, distributor, e-commerce retailer. They could have a mix. They could be, omni-channel, selling on Amazon, bricks and mortar retail, as well as maybe doing some fulfillment for orders that are placed on marketplaces like Amazon, etc. So they're typically going to have, realistically in our sweet spot, they're typically going to have somewhere between 25 and 75 employees. But we've got customers that scale up to 300, and we've got startup companies with 3 employees. They're typically moving products that are either consumer packaged good type products or products that need special handling. So one of the industries that we do really, really well in, for example, is the small independent in the US, the small independent pharmaceutical distributors. So what are they? Some of their needs are they have to conform with FDA regulations, and if they're distributing any controlled substances, they have to deal with DEA regulations, and these regulations are becoming more and more onerous. In fact, November 27th this year, they really hit let's just say a lot of people are sweating bullets over some of the upcoming regulations under what's called the DSCSA. So first of all, obviously there are some software providers that build functionality to comply with these things, but generally speaking, there'll be a software provider that will provide functionality for a specific requirement. But it won't necessarily also work in terms of managing your inventory and figuring out your purchasing and producing your financial statements. So, we would be able to, for example, we were able to 10 years ago, take our software, add some pieces initially for 1 or 2 pharmaceutical companies, now for like dozens and dozens of them, to be able to comply and communicate electronically with the DEA, the FDA, and do that kind of compliance. And the beauty about that is that each of those companies still gets an annual version update. So they're always on the latest version of the software. They're always on the latest technology stack, the latest database versions. So they don't get left behind, as you say, when technology changes at the rapid pace that it does.
Yeah, and that's really important, because I've seen too many businesses in history because they are not updating that, for whatever reason, they put it off for a year or so. But then by the time they update, it's a massive update because there have been so many changes. What you're talking about is a business working with it, and they're getting these updates on some kind of a regular basis, once a year or whatever it is. But your system is up to date, especially with rules that change. And the beautiful thing about working with Mark and his company is they keep up with all these rules. They build the systems and the technology so that you're already going to be in compliance from the technology standpoint. Is that accurate?
That is correct, and specifically in the context of some of the regulated industries we deal with, like pharmaceutical. But then, in addition, you've got companies that have, like, for example, where one of our customers is one of Ontario's largest retailers of big ticket furniture, appliances, and stuff like that. And they have a couple of things that they do differently than their competitors. So no software out of the box was going to accommodate those things. But again, it's their secret sauce. So come to BlueLink, we're able to help you define which of those things that you do differently are really your secret sauce, and which of them are you just doing them because that's the way we've always done them and everyone's comfortable with it, but doesn't really add any value, right?
Right.
So that's one of the keys is don't create custom just to accommodate what people are accustomed to. Make sure that it actually does provide value, that it's actually helping your business be more successful than it would be without those processes. And then, add that customization on, and again, on a basis where it is automatically upgradable, and it's not like somebody has to do something; it just happens automatically every year. So I think that's a really good sort of snapshot of something. Now there are other companies in our industry that now offer the same as we offer. Do they do it the same way? Probably not, but they offer the same. But we certainly hit the ground running early in the 90s, where Michael, I can't tell you how many times other people in the industry, competitors, people at some of the big companies, even a lot of the consultants, the ERP and computer systems consultants told me, your business model can't work. It can't work. It's not scalable. It's not sustainable. It's yada, yada, yada. A lot of them are out of business. I'm still here.
Yeah, exactly. Where are they now?
Yeah.
And I think probably, I mean, there are probably a lot of factors in that played into that. I think one of the factors primarily is none of those other companies, Mark, had a chief happiness officer. And I want to talk to you. I just explain just a little bit about what that is and why you came up with that, because I think it's so very good.
So, Michael, I mean, like most entrepreneurs, when I started the company, it was basically me and one or 1.5 other people. And, as we started growing, we slowly, we were doing everything. I was talking to all the customers. I was doing every aspect of the business, as with the others. And then as you start growing, you start getting a little bit more removed and you start getting information filtered through to you. And then you hire people, but you don't have a lot of experience in how best to hire and train and when to fire people that aren't working out. It's all a learning curve. So it kind of creeps up on you. And we got to the point probably about, I'm going to say around about 2016, so maybe 7 years ago, where I actually realized, and it was almost like a one-day epiphany almost, where I realized like my main job, the thing that I do most days, more than anything else, is effectively keeping my customers happy and keeping my employees happy, either directly or indirectly. And so I started thinking, well, then, what is my role? Like chief executive officer sounds great, but what does it actually mean? What do I actually do?
Yeah.
I'm basically in charge of keeping people happy. And then I thought, that's probably the best way to keep growing the company and keeping a great staff. We have a terrific staff. Mostly generally very happy, great team ethic, not a lot of office politics at BlueLink. And I realized, well, if I make that my title and my main reason for getting out of bed in the morning, I'm probably going to be able to sustain that. We can basically take any situation where that needs customer references, and instead of giving the 5 or 10 customer references that everyone else gives, I can say, hey, Michael, you want 100 references? Here's 100 references. Just take your pick. But that's because we work hard at keeping all of those people happy. So I figured, yeah, I'll call myself the Chief Happiness Officer, and then I have to live up to it every day. And when I know there's a problem, whether it's a customer that's got a little bit of an issue, whether it's an employee that has to deal with personal, drama or whatever, it's my priority. It's more important than that spreadsheet I may have been working on or whatever.
That's so good. Well, we just want to take that snippet out and use it. Go back and listen to that, because that is brilliant. I love that. One of the areas that when you're looking at technology and software and updating, which is one of the things that you do, is the impact it has on employees. How do you help, or what have you seen business owners as they have your system in place and it gets updated? I remember some of the updates we had, and it was like, not again, please. I just learned how to use this, right?
Yeah.
Talk about that, and how do you help business owners and their employees with that aspect of everything that you do?
So yeah, the updates are software updates are often a big problem. Certainly traditionally. I will say that in general, the industry has improved in the last few years, and a lot of that is because of the cloud solutions out there, of which we're now one, where updates are usually done on an incremental basis. It's not like you wait 18 months and then get this whole new thing that works differently, that doesn't even have the things that you used to rely on. Hey, where's that button I clicked every day? It's gone. That kind of stuff, right?
Yes.
So generally things are a little bit more incremental. So and we've followed the same path for quite a long time now, for about 14 or 15 years. We have a terminology at BlueLink called micro projects. So every feature addition, enhancement, or change in BlueLink software is done via what's called a micro project. In other words, even if there is a big new area that we want to develop, we build it in very small bite-sized chunks, and we introduce it to existing customers on a very incremental basis. And also we do try and provide them with fairly good, easy to use, non-technical user documentation with screenshots and videos ahead of receiving their upgrade. But that being, and we're not the only ones that do that. I mean, we use a wonderful HR system. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention their name on the podcast.
Whatever.
But give them a plug. Bamboo HR out of Utah. Wonderful HR system. They're awesome at providing advance notice on video, via video and print format of new features. And I think we follow a similar kind of approach with our customers. But that being said, people are very busy. We're all very busy, and I don't have all the time to look at all the information that comes at me. So yeah, customers sometimes do get a new upgrade. They haven't had a chance to educate all their staff, or to at least, watch some of the video footage we've given them. So what we're very, very careful to do, and nobody's perfect, we don't always get it right, but we try not to take away. We try to make everything a net new ad. And one of the key things in the user experience, UX design, is when you're adding new functionality, make it obvious. Make it obvious that A, it's there, and B, what it does. So, if you're going to put a new button on a screen that's going to do something, don't just put a one word. We're in a graphical era, right? If the thing that the button does needs 6 words to describe it fully, put all 6 words on the button. Make it a wider button. It doesn't matter. It's okay to do that.
That's amazing. I love your micro projects idea. That is really, really cool, because it would really, I think, cause people to embrace the change a little bit better. Having the video assisted training, because I can't tell you, I think you said you deliver this in a way that's understandable to the common man, is what I heard you say, which is shocking, because I've read the documents from a lot of the upgrades, and it's like, I don't understand a thing you're saying. I love that. I love the video updates, because we live in a graphic era. We live in a video based era.
Mm-hmm.
And we want print. I want both. I want print. I want video, because I want to see. It's like, okay, there you go. And that's really good, because it sounds like you're not only helping business owners solve a big challenge with the accounting and the processing and keeping track of inventory and all of that, and doing it in a great way, giving them a system that is customizable, scalable, updatable, and that is easy for their employees to embrace and to grow with. Because at the end of the day, I mean, the ultimate objective is for those businesses to continue to grow without the pain involved so many times in software and accounting systems. And, oh, I use QuickBooks over here, and I use this over here, and I use that over there. You've kind of pulled it all together. Is that a fair analysis?
I mean, that's a very good analysis, and some of the specific examples you made are absolutely reasons why a lot of companies fail to, I mean, I'm not going to say fail, but they don't reach their potential in terms of growth, or they grow, but they end up incurring bigger costs than the increase to the bottom line. Like, they'll grow their sales, by 30%, but they'll have to hire an extra 30 people, and that'll wipe out any bottom line profit. And one of the things that actually I think is important to understand is that there's no one software package that does everything. And
Yes.
BlueLink is no exception to that rule. So one of the things that's super important is to be able to integrate seamlessly with other mission critical systems. And integration doesn't mean, hey, I export a file here and I fiddle around with it in Excel and then I upload it somewhere else. No, it means when an e-commerce transaction comes off my e-commerce site, it automatically shows up in my order processing system. And when a new shipment comes in my warehouse and I scan it, it's automatically available, on Amazon or whatever it is. And that's one of the things which, again, we focus on a lot. We work very hard at working on integrating with all the other systems, key mission critical systems that customers use. And a lot of times what people don't realize, and honestly is one of our biggest challenges when we go into smaller companies that are moving off of like a QuickBooks or an entry-level system, is when you use an ERP system, the ERP system has to be the quarterback. It's the single point of truth. And we've got your back. We'll coordinate with your e-commerce team. We'll coordinate with your whatever your other team is, your service dispatch system software. We'll take care of it, so you don't have to deal with 3 or 4 vendors. We'll talk to the other vendors directly, but we need to be the single point of truth, because we're the place where when you issue a purchase order, your BlueLink ERP knows about it before any other system, and all those kinds of things. And so I think what you said about all these different systems is important. So many times companies say, well, we don't have a lot of transactions coming off of our e-commerce site, so we'll just do stuff manually. And that's great. You've got 5 or 6 transactions a day. Hey, we can all key in 5 or 6 transactions a day, right?
Yeah.
The point is recognizing, if you're going to grow, that you need to have those integrated systems in place before you hit that inflection point.
Absolutely.
All of a sudden, those 5 orders a day or 50 orders a day, and now you're drowning, but you haven't yet put in a system.
That's right. Yeah. And my audience understands I preach all the time. Systems people resources. And so many times every business owner wants to scale, but they haven't put in the systems that really allow you to scale. And that's really what you're talking about, is putting in a system in your business that is going to allow you to do more volume, distribute more product, keep track of everything without you doing it manually. And I love your single point of truth. That's spot on. Single point of truth is an acronym. Because everybody, when I was in ministry, that we had a single point of contact, as they called it a SPOC, for every department. And I'm like, okay, that sounded like Star Trek. Yours is spot on, because it's a single point of truth, meaning this ERP system, this accounting system, this system is where everything starts, and you communicate with all the vendors. You make things super simple for the business owner and their team. It's customizable to their unique business. So if they have a secret sauce, that's okay. You can make it work for them, setting them up to really alleviate some stress that they're probably facing and position them for easier growth, where everything is just there, and you can integrate with other vendors. So is that a good summary? That was really,
it's actually pretty good. You want a job as our marketing guy?
That's great. Well, it's just because you've explained it so well. You've obviously done this for a couple of years, right? You've been doing it since the mid 90s. So I know you've got a lot of experience in it. You worked with dozens of companies in a variety of industries, which that's the other thing I really like about it, is you're not industry specific. You can work with a lot of different industries, wholesale distribution, e-commerce, things of that nature. If somebody's been listening to us, Mark, and they're, you sparked something in their mind, they're like, okay, this is intriguing, I need to have some more information. Where would they go? What's the best way?
So you can visit our website, www.bluelinkerp.com. Or if you'd prefer to just send an email, you can send an email to sales@bluelinkerp.com. And yeah, there's also a toll-free number on our website if you care to give us a call.
Excellent. Okay, I'm going to capture those and have those in the show notes. So if you're out walking the dog or exercising right now, no worries, I got you covered, because I want you to reach out to Mark and talk with him about his solutions that can help you really get a handle on accounting, inventory management, putting those pieces together so that you are in position to take your business to that next level, whether you're starting out, whether you've been in business for a long time. He's got a software solution that can really help you, customizable to your business, totally scalable and updatable with these micro project updates, bite-sized chunks. I love that. Mark, thank you for what you do, for being a proactive proponent for small business and helping us grow. And thank you for just being my guest on Expert Speak.
Well, thanks, Michael. I've really enjoyed this.